It's your girl Razia Jane. I'm back with another video. If this is your first time landing on my channel and seeing my face, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you have been rocking with Ray, thank you so much for your continual support, guys. I say this every time. It really means the world to me. Today is December 31st, 2022, and I really wanted to record a video and upload it today, although it will be a little bit later in the evening because I was sick the entire month of December and the videos were not coming the way that I wanted to, but I couldn't let the clock, I should say, strike midnight without putting something out there to tell you guys Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a great holiday season. If this is your first time landing here and you want to know a little bit about this channel, this is where faith, family, and social work intersect. I am a social worker and I am so excited to bring content to this platform to help other social workers and especially students navigate social work as a profession from a student lane. So guys, this video is going to be about 10 things that I have learned as I navigated from my student journey to my professional journey this year, and I wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to share it today before the year ended so you guys can know what I have learned in essentially 6 months as a professional social worker. I have been a little bit under the weather, so I am nasally. My eyes are a little bit puffy, and this video is not going to be a perfect edited video. It's going to come out however I record it because we don't really have time. It's about 10:29 p.m. on Saturday, December 31st. So I'm just trying to plow through and get this out for you guys. So if you're interested in knowing what I learned this year, or I should say in the last 6 months of this year as a social worker in the macro space, stay tuned. Guys, as luck would have it, these batteries are dead. So like I said, if you are interested in finding out the 10 things that I have learned as I transitioned from a student to a professional social worker, this is the video for you guys. So guys, first and foremost, the first thing that I've learned about the social work profession as I have transitioned from student role to social worker role is how diverse this profession is. I think in academia, they really focus on the clinical things that social workers have to offer, how we can contribute to the mental health profession. And I think that they do a disservice to macro social work to really embody truly what a social worker can do outside of the clinical space. So that is one of the things that I think that I really learned in the last 6 months is how broad this profession is. The second thing that I would say that I've learned as I transitioned from student to social worker is that social work is one of those things that you are going to find your niche without having to overthink it. You come into this profession because you want to help others, or you are navigating through your own healing journey and you say, wow, I want to help people just like me. Or you just happen to fall upon a BSW or MSW program and you like, why not, right? And oftentimes as a student, we try to identify our niche. And what I'm learning as I have transitioned into the professional role, I realized that my niche came to me. I didn't have to figure it out. It's something that literally came to me, and I'm super excited to share that with you. You don't have to figure it out. The third thing that I would say that I've learned as a social worker is that we are needed at every table in many spaces. As social workers, we should not limit ourselves to where we work or even applying for jobs that says social work, right? We should look outside of the box, or I should say think outside of the box and look for jobs that places us in places of influence so that we can change the narrative in multiple places, politics being one of them. The fourth thing that I would say that I have learned as I have transitioned is that academia oftentimes does not prepare us for licensing. Academia does a great job at preparing us for practical social work skills, and oftentimes, depending on the program that you may have went to, you may have not learned pure social work, so that it doesn't mean that you are not a social worker or you don't know how to do social work jobs correctly. But I just feel like academia does not oftentimes, or always I should say, prepare you for you to sit down to take your licensure right out of school and pass without having to study a bit. And you can argue me on this, but this is my thought. I think that my school has done a great job preparing me for licensure, but I've also often heard stories where people said they didn't understand the licensing questions on the exam and they felt like their degree was more practical, what you do as a social worker versus pure social work. The fifth thing that I would say that I have learned since I have transitioned into this profession is that a lot of people do not subscribe to the National Association of Social Work. And I am not here to tell anybody to subscribe to anything, but I am saying that I think that if your profession has a national association, it behooves you to be a part of the conversations that are happening there. I don't think that membership is something that is needed, but I do think that you should lend your voice and your expertise to speak on things at that level so other social workers throughout the entire nation can hear your voice. I think that every social worker has a story and it's their own story to tell, but we all have our own stories that we need to cultivate and be open to sharing with others so others can see the full scope of what a social worker can do. The sixth thing I would say is not to limit yourself. I came out of grad school and a lot of people told me certain things, right? You're going to make this amount of money. You're going to struggle for the first few years, that you are not going to feel confident. And I am a person that already deals with imposter syndrome. So coming into the profession and hearing people say certain things, it allowed me to question if I had the ability to advocate for certain things for myself when I came into the roles that I was offered. And I've learned that we are competent out of school. Now, experience is one thing that I think that working gives you that experience where you can say, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. But I do think that our education makes us competent so that we should not have to struggle as entry-level social workers making under 55K. That is just my my tidbit. The sixth or the seventh thing I think that I have learned as I have navigated through this profession is really and truly that social workers are everywhere. I have met social workers that work in the medical field. I have met social workers that work in higher education. I have met social workers that are entrepreneurs. I have met social workers that work at libraries. I have met social workers that work at schools. I have met social workers that worked everywhere. And one of the things that I really was shocked to find out how big the travel social work game is and how much opportunity, lucrative opportunities we can find when we tap into some of that travel social work expertise or fields. So that is one of the things that I really learned. The seventh or eighth thing, because I don't really know the numbers, and as I said, I was sick, guys, that I have learned coming into the profession is that there is a big disconnect between social work students and social work professionals. I do not see an emphasis on mentorship. And that is something that I deem very important when you are navigating the trenches of social work as a student and even as a transitional social worker. I deem myself an emerging social worker, transitional social worker. I have 5 years and under of expertise. And I think when I look at my trajectory and my path, I believe that my mentor plays a big role in who I am today as a social worker. She was someone that I could bounce ideas off, someone that I can talk to about things when I was in my internship, someone that helped me navigate a poor internship and a positive internship, someone who helped me to see my worth. And I think that as social work students, there's a big disconnect with us and professional social workers. And I think it's time that we bridge the gap, that we start to find mentors within the profession that are doing things that we aspire to do. And even if they're not doing things that we aspire to do, like my social work mentor, she works in school social work, but she is a leader. And I aspire to be a leader in the social work profession. And she was someone that I've looked up to for other reasons. And I was able to bridge that gap and find a mentor. And I think it's really important. The ninth thing that I have learned coming into this profession is really and truly that we are not valued. We are undervalued. I think when people look at us as social workers, and they compare us to other mental health professionals, they discredit us to a certain degree, and I don't like that. Yes, we have title protection, but I think it's more important that as social workers, we start to advocate for ourselves and say, this is what we bring to the table. This is how we view things. This is what makes us different from other mental health professionals. I always tell people I was gravitating to social work because of the way that we saw people. We see people in their environment, and by seeing people in their environment, we just don't focus on the mental aspect of it and what their brain is doing, but we look at how did this environment, how did this circumstance impact this person and cause them to exhibit the external behaviors or factors that are coming to play in their everyday life. And I love that about this profession, but I think that we don't do ourselves a good service by advocating for ourselves as social workers and letting people know that we bring so much to the table and that they should respect us for who we are as mental health professionals, but really as thought leaders and changers. We are change agents. Like, we are literally rooted in community organizing and social change. And I think as social workers, we really need to start in 2023 to lead with that. Another thing that I learned coming into this profession is that there are so many social workers that drop the title of social work because they are not working at a social work job. If you are a social worker in the macro space, or you are a social worker doing anything but traditional social work, I want to urge you to always, always, always lead with the fact that you are a social worker. So my name is Razia M. Cooper, and I am a social worker and an engagement coordinator. That is something that I've learned from my director, my executive director. She always leads with the fact that she's a social worker first and then an executive director. And I think it's beautiful because I have come across a lot of social workers who say to me, yeah, I have a MSW or I have a BSW, but I'm not working in the field of social work, so I'm not a social worker. No, if you went to school for your degree in social work, you are a social worker. And I want to just remind you that as we go into 2023, let's make the changes that we want to see by chipping away at the trauma within ourselves and healing. I hope that 2023 is going to be a beautiful year for you that are watching. If you are a social work student, I pray and hope that you are going to find success in your journey as a student this year. I hope that you find support and that you find everything that you are looking for in your programs, and even in the places that are lacking, that you find a remedy for them. And as we go into the new year, I just want to say Happy New Year. And I hope that in 2023, I can push out more videos and more content on social work because it's something that is super important to me. So until next time, peace. Happy New Year.